President Donald Trump to escalate the war and to send U.S. troops boots on the ground into Kharg Island. Now, we're hearing that Donald Trump has just announced that the United States, he is considering preparing for full-scale war. We're hearing that yesterday, as I shared with you, the president of Iran said that they need to brace for the consequences that are about to unfold as we're about to enter into full-scale war. Now, let's take a look at the latest headlines. There has been a lot of developments, so that way you can see it for yourself. Waiting for their arrival. Iran dares U.S. ground invasion on Kharg Island. They are taunting Trump, saying, "We dare you to send your troops. See what unfolds if you do." And take a look. Reports coming out today. President Donald Trump, he is considering the return to a full-scale war with Iran. Now, this comes as yesterday. Like I said, I shared with you that Pezeshkian tells Iranians they need to brace for the consequences of a full-scale war with the United States, as he is saying, this is the route we're going. We're also hearing today, just a little while ago, that Israel is also bracing for a full-scale war in the Middle East. In addition to that, Iran today attacks tankers in Hormuz as U.S. strikes fail to reopen the vital oil route. We're hearing that the Strait of Hormuz, again, is having tons of conflict. And Yemen is entering into it as well. Yemen's Iranian-backed Houthis say that they will block Saudi shipping at Red Sea Gateway. So another group is now going to be getting involved in the conflict as tensions are rising. Trump orders airstrikes against Iran last night for the 10th straight night after vowing to avenge the death of the U.S. soldiers that we heard lost their lives in those attacks in the U.S. air base in Jordan. And Trump, Iran is desperate. They want to meet with him, he is saying. But the U.S. is not interested until Tehran is ready for a meaningful talk. This coming out today from the live feeds, Trump saying they're desperate to meet with me. Yet at the same time, we're hearing they're saying, come on, Trump, we dare you to escalate this war. Man, let me know your thoughts. Now, this comes as we're hearing there is currently a worldwide caution, travel alert. Anywhere in the United States, if you, anywhere in the world, if you are an American, they're saying if you can avoid traveling anywhere in the world right now, you might want to reconsider travel, because right now they're saying that we are all on high alert. Stay in the United States if you can, because globally we're hearing that U.S. citizens are at risk at this time. Now, this comes as well as we have also heard that the Pentagon has confirmed some 100 soldiers have been wounded since the U.S.-Iran fighting has been renewed, but the majority are back on duty. They're saying the majority of them are well and back to their service for the United States. Iran has just dared.
Shalom, shalom. We're back with another lesson. So before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechaha Kodash, to the apostle and elder of the great millstone who rule well. I'd like to give double honor, shalom and salutation out there to the hopeful elect. Shalom to everyone. All right, this is a lesson I'm going to call, we're definitely in a time of war. As you just seen in the video, we're getting more details about the fighting between Iran and America, which is really a war. There's no such thing as just passing licks between countries. You're at war. So now they're saying Iran is egging America on to do a full-scale war, meaning putting troops on the ground, bringing them in, and just all out, hey, let's just get it out there in the ring. And we know this thing is gonna end up escalating to that point. How? Through the scriptures, through the words of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, through the prophets of old, and now through those prophets who have returned through the reincarnation. So we understand that this thing is gonna get to a point where it's gonna turn into that third woe or the third world's war. But as the title is, we're definitely in the time of war. It's not going to be any more peace talks. It's not going to be any more treaties. It's not going to be any more let's shake hands and forget about it. No. Guns are out. Weapons are out. They're ready to go at each other's throat. And it's the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai that this shit is going on. That's why we're going to start here in Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. And let's find out what season we are in. Now we're going to go down to verse 8. a time of love and a time of hate. Yeah, because now we're seeing these nations not only hate each other, but more accurately hate the whore that is Babylon the Great, or America and Israel, because they've been doing too much shit lately, and they done really made themselves the number one enemy of really damn near every country, even their own allies. A time of war and a time of peace. That's why none of the treaties work, because we are now in that time of war by the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, who himself, as the scripture says in Exodus 20, I think, that the Lord is a man of war. So now he got Babylon the Great, America, in this war with Iran. And it's definitely going to be boots on the ground, because it's the will of the Lord that this happened. Proceeding to Proverbs 21:1. The hearts of the king is in the hand of the Lord. So he's guiding these leaders to this war. Iran don't have to really do too much provocation to Babylon the Great to get them to drop troops on the ground, because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is the one going to get that started, man. And this is what this skirmish is leading to. Because they thought they were going to be able to just take down Iran quickly, that it was going to be no trouble. But through the Lord, he's definitely going to bring them into this battle along with the rest of the nations. That's why we're going to go here, Joel 3, verses 9 through 12. Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare for war. Remember, that's the season we are in now. This is a time of war and rumors of war, as it tells you in Matthew 24. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And the Lord is definitely waking up all the nations, all the Gentile nations, to prepare for war. And it's just not America and Iran. As you've seen, even Israel is preparing for war for the other countries, the other Middle Eastern countries, they so-called, that they have to fight against. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And that's what Iran is doing. Iran no longer fears Babylon the Great. They saying, you know what, if you that bad like you say you will, nigga, bring your boys over and drop some troops while we put hand and feet on them. No one no longer fears Babylon. They no longer fears Esau Edom, because now Esau Edom is as the other nations. The rest of the nations got nukes. They got highly advanced weaponry. So they feel like, hey, we just as good as you now. Come on and try us. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together around about. Thither cause the mighty one to come down, O Lord. Verse 12, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit and judge all the heathen around about. And that's what's going to happen. They're being woken up to get into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is Yahweh Shaphat, meaning to really be judged. And we're seeing the beginnings of that right now with the American-Iranian war and whoever Israel is fighting over there. We're seeing them being drawn into this war. Because Babylon the Great probably thought beating Iran was going to be something simple. But no, that's not what happened. You no longer have NATO really backing you. You out there on your own, and Israel, who's supposed to be your closest allies, you got to watch over them. But it's the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua that these things happen, so that third war can come about, so that these heathens can come down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and basically be judged. All right, we're going to go here to Obadiah 1 through 14. The vision of Obadiah. Thus says Yahweh power concerning Edom. We have heard rumors from the Lord, and ambassadors sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. Yeah. You see, these heathen are no longer afraid of America, no longer afraid of Esau, Edom, or Babylon the Great. Because they feel like, hey, we're just as strong as you. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And man, it does get to the point where you see somebody can hate somebody so much, even if they fear them, even if they got a tiny bit of fear, hey, they still be ready to throw hands. like they say, don't back a trapped animal into a corner, because they're gonna come out fighting. And that's what America and Israel has been doing to these nations. They done backed them into the corner to now it's like, okay, it's up there. The pride of thy heart had deceived thee, O thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high, that says in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And it's going to be Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua who ultimately bring down Babylon the Great. But he's systematically doing it, destroying their infrastructure, having them going into constant wars, especially this war, which will lead to the third woe. And also he done put the spirit upon these heathen to greatly despise Babylon the Great. So not only does Babylon no longer have allies in the EU and NATO like it used to, but all the rest of the nations don't even fuck with them either. That's why when the Strait of Hormuz thing first started off, they couldn't even go to France and Spain to use them as platform to get to the Strait. They're like, man, nah, we don't deal with y'all like that. Fuck up out of here. But they for to be allied nations. So it's the Lord who's bringing Babylon the Great down. He's putting them into a trap. He's laid that snare to them by using the Israelis as a way to get to them. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, thou hast set thy nest among the stars. This will I bring thee down, says Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. See, like I said, it's going to be the Lord that ultimately destroys Babylon the Great. But while doing it, he using the rest of these nations to bring Babylon to his knees. And when that whore's on her knees, not doing whore things, if you know what I mean, she's ultimately going to be destroyed by the Lord and his sword. We're going to go here next. Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he had taken against Edom, and his purpose he had purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And that's what happened, man. Israel had drawn America out into this battle, into this war, and ultimately into the Third World War with their bullshit. So now America's stuck. They gotta fight. But here's the thing. They're low on ammo, low on missiles, low on morale, and low on soldiers. So they done got themselves into a war. Really, they have no chance of winning right now. They're no longer the great superpower, America, but they're just a power like some of the other nations. That's why they no longer feel them. And ultimately, they had to find that out the hard way through Israel, who draw them out into this fight. Now they see, man, we ain't got it like we used to. Which is it's the will of the Lord that these things are happening. All right, we're going to finish out here in Jeremiah 15:24. I had laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon. And thou wast not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. Yeah, the Lord had laid this snare unto Babylon using Israel. Now the least of the flock had drawn them out into this war, into this battle against Iran that they're having trouble winning. When a few years ago, maybe about 10 to 15, they'd have annihilated Iran. Now they have trouble. There's all sorts of things that's going wrong. And it's the will of the Lord that these things are happening. That Esau Edom is understanding that they're losing their kingdom, that it's starting to fall apart. They're no longer blessed by the Lord, but cursed by Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. So they're seeing their kingdom slowly being destroyed. Why? Because they fell into that trap. The Lord made them think just because what they did to who that was, they came and kidnapped their president. I can't think of the name right now, but one of the Northern Kingdom countries made them feel good about that. Then when this thing started with Iran and they figured they had the upper hand, the Lord pulled the wool out from under their feet. Like, I caught you, bitch. Thought you had another easy one. It ain't been like that. They've been fighting and losing, and as it says, a lot of their bases has been blown up over there in the so-called Middle East. So now we're seeing them stuck in that snare that the Lord had put there for them, using the Israelis to draw them out right into it. Basically, the Israeli was the bait, and like a greedy animal, they wag their tail right on into the trap. Now they're caught and they can't get out. So ultimately, they're gonna put boots on the ground because we're in that time of war, and this is all the will of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah, that we're in that season where war and destruction is going to be on a high, and it's going to continue to climb up to ultimately the third woe. But that's all I had to say on that. I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah, and Shalom.